Everyone in Maplewood, Virginia thought they knew Daniel Hart, the quiet paramedic who never missed a shift, never raised his voice, and never looked like a man who carried a secret. But if they had seen what he kept locked inside the faded wooden box under his bed, if they had read the letters stacked inside, if they knew who wrote them, they would understand why he still drove 27 miles every Sunday just to sit beside an empty bench near the Potomac River. People thought Daniel was lonely, but the truth was far stranger because Daniel wasn't waiting for a person, he was waiting for a promise. On a warm September morning in 2018, Daniel Hart's life looked painfully average. The alarm rang at 5:45 a.m. He slapped it off. He dragged himself to the mirror, ran a hand through his sandy brown hair, and stared at the faint exhaustion settled in the corners of his sea blue eyes. For 10 years, he had worked as a paramedic in Fairfax County. 10 years of emergencies, 10 years of saving people who never remembered his name. But that day, that ordinary day, was the day Maya Thompson walked into his life. Daniel first saw her at Ben's Coffee and Bagels, the little shop on Dawson Street that he visited every morning. She stood near the counter, scanning the menu board with the kind of intensity usually reserved for solving national crimes. She was wearing a navy blue hoodie, hair tied in a messy bun, with a few golden brown curls escaping around her face. She didn't look extraordinary, not in the glamorous movie star way, but in the gentle, magnetic way that makes someone look familiar even if you've never met them. Daniel almost walked past her. Almost. Until she turned slightly and he caught the edge of her conversation with the barista. "No, I'm not from around here. I'm just figuring things out." Figuring things out. For some reason, that sentence hit Daniel like a soft punch to the chest. When she stepped to the side, waiting for her drink, their eyes met, brief, accidental, like a shadow passing over sunlight. And that was it. The spark. The tiny, ridiculous, impossible to explain beginning of something life-changing. "Morning, Daniel," the barista greeted him. "Usual?" "Yeah," he replied, still half distracted by the girl in the navy hoodie. As he waited for his coffee, he realized Maya was still standing nearby. She wasn't scrolling her phone. She wasn't pretending to look busy like most people do. She was just thinking, fingers wrapped around a paper cup like it was keeping her grounded. When her drink was finally called, iced caramel latte for Maya, she gave a tiny smile that made her eyes soften in a way that was oddly breathtaking. Then she walked straight toward the door, only to stop as she realized Daniel had stepped aside to let her pass. "Thanks," she said gently. Even her voice felt warm. Daniel nodded. "No problem." Just as she opened the door, she turned again. "Pretty quiet morning, huh?" He blinked. People rarely talk to him in the mornings, especially strangers. "Yeah, quiet is good before a shift. I'm a paramedic." Her eyebrows lifted. "Wow, that must be intense." "Some days, but you get used to it." She gave him a thoughtful smile. "Maybe I'll see you around." And she was gone. Except the echo of her smile stayed with him all day, through every emergency call, every siren, every life he touched. Daniel didn't know it yet, but this wasn't the last time he'd see Maya Thompson. Not even close. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He tried reading, he tried music, he even tried watching a documentary about penguins, which usually knocked him out in 10 minutes. Nothing worked. His mind kept drifting back to Maya's face. The way she said, "Maybe I'll see you around," like she knew something he didn't. It irritated him. Not her, but the fact that a stranger could leave such an imprint on his thoughts. He told himself it was nothing, just curiosity, just a moment. But when he walked into Ben's Coffee the next morning and saw her sitting in the corner booth, hoodie,
bun, laptop open, iced latte in hand, he realized the universe had other plans. She saw him, smiled, lifted her cup slightly, like a silent greeting. Daniel didn't believe in signs, or fate, or destiny. But something about that moment felt like all three. For a long second, Daniel pretended he didn't notice her. He ordered his usual, black coffee, 2 sugars, and forced himself to stare at the pastry case like a man who had never seen a muffin before. But he could feel her eyes on him. When he finally turned, Maya gave a small wave.
Not the flirty kind, not the forced polite kind, just real, warm, inviting. Daniel hesitated. People didn't usually invite him into their space. People usually avoided eye contact with paramedics. They were reminders of accidents, emergencies, and mortality. They reminded people of hospital beds they didn't want to think about. But Maya was different. So he walked toward her table. "Morning," she said, closing her laptop halfway. "You're back." Yeah," Daniel replied awkwardly. He mentally slapped himself. "You're back?" What was he supposed to say? "No, actually, I'm an optical illusion." Maya gestured at the empty seat across from her. "Sit, unless you're rushing to save lives again." He chuckled to spite himself. "Shift starts in an hour." "Perfect. Enough time to tell me why someone would willingly choose to run into danger for work." Her tone wasn't mocking. It was curious, genuinely curious. Daniel sat. "Well," he began, stirring his coffee slowly. "Most people think paramedics love adrenaline, but that's not it." "What is it then?" He thought for a moment. "It's the moments after the chaos. When someone's breathing again. When a child stops crying because they're safe. When a family member grabs your hand and says, 'Thank you,' like you're the only thing keeping their world from collapsing." He shrugged. "I guess I like being useful." Maya listened with an intensity that surprised him. "You talk about it like it means something," she said softly. "Like it's not just a job." "It isn't," he replied. She smiled. "I like that." Daniel's chest felt weirdly warm. Before he could say anything else, the barista called out, "Caramel latte for Maya." She stood, grabbed her drink, and sat back down. "So, you know what I do every morning. What about you? What's your story?" Daniel paused. "My story isn't that interesting." She tilted her head. "That usually means the opposite." "What makes you think my life is interesting?" Daniel asked. Maya took a slow sip of her drink, eyes never leaving his. "Because quiet people always have the loudest stories." It was a strange sentence, poetic, a little too observant. It made Daniel feel like she could see parts of him he didn't show to people. He looked away. "There isn't much to tell." "Try me."